kind of looking to the future. What I did a few years ago, where laying out some of the new products, what I want to do this time is talk a little bit more about process and kind of what we're up against. So, oh, sure. Well, what do you want? You want me on the video or to actually see the slides? Can everybody see the slides okay? So that works? Okay. So when you think about our marketplace, when you think about all of our competitors, so you think about Gerber, SOG, Camillus is now back. The business model that our competition is being very successful with is an import product. It's American branded import product. And what that allows them to do, it allows them to have pretty broad margins, and those higher margins allow them the opportunity to make a lot of noise. They can do displays, they can do packaging, they can hire a television spokesperson. So there's a lot of promotional noise that you're able to accomplish with those broad margins. You're also very attractive to retailers because retailers can make a good mark on those products. The domestic U.S.-made business model that we're doing is we are not eliminating imports right now, but we are not introducing any new imports. Pretty much all we're introducing is American-made products. So we're just allowing American-made product to slowly overtake, let the import products run their life, and we're just allowing U.S. product to just overtake. So when we first moved up to Idaho back in 2005, we were importing about 50% of our products, and we were manufacturing about 50% of our products. Say today, we're making about 80% of our products and importing 20%. And we're just slowly marching that number forward. And the business model that we're following is there's a design and a material integrity to function. So everything that we're doing is focused around, does it add something to the function of this knife? Is S30V the proper material? Is 420HC the proper material? Is G10 really necessary? Is aluminum perfectly capable of handling this, how this product's going to be used? So as we go through, the R&D group is really working on optimizing value. We're trying to pick the right materials. If it doesn't need carbon fiber, don't put carbon fiber on it. Don't add $5 or $10 to the price of that knife, not to add anything to the function of that knife. So that's a big focus. And the other thing that we do from a U.S. standpoint is having everything in our factory. And we've brought more and more. Has everybody been on the tour already, or is still more people to do it later? Lock the door. Don't let this guy in. No. That's the TV crew. But they had the flight from hell yesterday. Supposed to get in at 4, they got in at midnight. So what we're doing, is if you've walked through the factory, what you've seen is there's a lot of new equipment out there. A lot of processes that we used to outsource, we are bringing in. And it gives us two things. It allows us to better control the quality of what we do. It also allows us not to order thousands of parts if all we need are hundreds of parts. We're manufacturing as we need. So from a design, I talked a little bit about design and material. The collaborations are key. We know how to build stuff. We know how to heat treat stuff. We know how to make metal perform beyond its wildest expectations. But when it comes to the designs, when it comes to working with Ron Hood and really focused on how's the knife going to be used, how does it need to be shaped, his experience, I'm looking at the little the little hoodmeister back there. His experience was crucial in determining how long that blade should be, how much should the knife weigh, how should it be weighted or balanced in your hand, how do you get the best, the best chopping, how do you hang on to it properly. All of those little design elements, he's the one that brought the design integrity to that product. We're bringing the manufacturing integrity to that product. So you can see there's a lot of pieces on here. This is all a lot of 2014 stuff. But it's interacting with Ron, with Mike Fuller. It's interacting. We have a new one coming up that I have in my sweet little pocket here, a Grant and Gavin Hawk collaboration that we're going to be introducing in January. And now you need to imagine photos of people field testing product, because I couldn't find any. But believe it or not, we do, the group, the R&D group is pretty passionate, and passion is really important. The R&D group is passionate about driving the function into the product. So we take these knives out hunting. They go out and they cut stuff and break stuff and destruct test stuff, and I wanted to find some photos, but the OR show, the Outdoor Retailer show, is going on in Salt Lake City this week. So Joe Piedmont, Bill Keys, Mark McLean, Stephanie Young, everybody where I would have gotten images from is all out of the building. So, aren't those great? When you talk about American craftsmanship, that's another one where it's all about processes. So it's about consistent, repeatable, sustainable processes. You can't dial in the quality of anything if your processes are just random. And we think about, way back when we first started making 110s, a lot of those early changes for 110s were us trying to figure out what we were doing. We can improve the quality if we add an extra rivet, if we kick this up, if we thicken this out. So those were all, as we went from the custom knife process to a repeatable production process, you could start now dialing in the quality and making that repeatable. Just getting into the fine blanking from the old conventional blanking, the new fine blanking, and getting all those peripheries and all those center hole locations, getting those things consistent from part to part was a huge element. The 110s we're building today are better than anything we have ever built. I mean, they are tight, they don't bind, the action is free, they walk, they talk, but they don't move, they don't budge. They're the best we've ever made, and a lot of that consistency has come in from driving those processes. Come on, baby. Okay, so let's talk about this year. So 2013, we introduced the stowaway kit, and again, it's innovation doesn't have to be real magical and gimmicky. Innovation can be as simple as throwing a magnet to the bottom of a cutting board so that this product is always together, so you don't lose the knife, you don't lose the cutting board. This one, and I have a sample up here. All of the real production samples are at the OR show, so this is kind of a handmade prototype. But this product was developed with Bill Lowen, who is an elite bass fisherman on the elite circuit. He's been in the Bassmaster Classic the last couple of years. He may or may not make it this year. But he came up with an idea of adding a plier tip, a needle nose plier tip to the front of scissors as a fishing tool. So you can dehook fish, but you can also, this tool, it's got replaceable edges for the scissors. This tool is designed to cut braided line. So where a lot of scissors, as you go to cut, the line will bend down and the scissors will press apart and you'll just slip right past it. You won't cut it. And in fishing, it's really important to get a clean cut, because when you're threading hooks, you need a clean end on the end of that line to thread properly. So this product, we had to design this product to have 10 times the force pushing together, so that nothing is allowed to tweak. It just does an amazing job. It's got a bottle opener, it's got a lanyard, and it's got a bunch of different sizes. You can see right in here, it's got a bunch of different crimping tools. So it really is it's a good fishing tool. It's made in USA, suggested retail is going to be $100. So we'll see how that goes, if people will pay $100 for a fishing tool. But so far we introduced this at ICAST in Las Vegas. I don't know what ICAST stands for, but it's basically a fishing trade show. It's like the SHOT Show for fishing, and had a very, very good response. Another design, you know, I brought this up too, and I forgot to mention it in our design process, but we call this a pizza cutter, a pizza, well, what do we call that? Pizza machine. Anyway, this is a reverse milling operation. It actually lays down a bead of plastic based on a drawing. So instead of milling away on a material, it lays down a bead of plastic and builds up the material. So it follows like a milling operation in reverse to slowly build up a plastic sample of a real knife. And this one happens to be a knife designed by a real SEAL team member, and it's something we're working on, but it's not even finalized yet. But this allows us to take an idea off a picture and actually put it in your hand. Does it fit? I mean, obviously they're easy to break, but and I've broken a few. It's like, they're just plastic, CJ. But it does get you a chance to put it in your hand, get a sense for the size, the feel, are things in the right place. So it really is a neat addition to, as we test out products, trying to get those design criteria down. So this is another one we introduced this year, the Spitfire. This has been, we made a variation of this product called the Slimline that is an exclusive to Walmart. The Spitfire is what we're selling everywhere, so we tried to create a differentiation so people aren't competing with Walmart on this product. But the Spitfire represents one of the most successful introductions, and there's really, you know, when you look at this, it's not new. There's nothing truly, really innovative in concept-wise, but what we're delivering is an American-made knife, an American-made lockback knife for about $40. So that's going to be a big. We've had a huge success on the Spitfire. These handles, these aluminum handles, these all represent the high-speed routering that we're doing inside. So we used to outsource these handles. We now build them all in-house, and you guys would have seen that, the Datrons and the new big CNC routers that are just beyond the Datrons. Also, you would have seen, did you see the screw machine? Did you guys get a chance to see did the tour include the screw machine? We're now making our own fasteners. So a lot of the folders, instead of doing headed rivets, we're doing male and female screw together pivot pins. So the knives can take a bit more wear and tear, and you're not wearing on those rivets. It really is just it's just a big improvement to functionality. And we're doing those in-house. Not sure who I'm talking to here. There we go. One of the things we did this year was some real tough, durable products. So this was a reintroduction of the Intrepid. This was an original design by Kit Carson back in the 80s, and it may have been before its time because we couldn't move it, but it seems to be the time is now. There's more and more people that are getting involved in preparing for the big zombie apocalypse. So we want to make sure we have products that people can wield should that happen. There's a lot of focus on emergency preparedness, survival, self-reliance. So a lot of people are building large knives into their grab and go kind of emergency packs. So we're seeing a much broader audience for this type of product than we ever used to. So these are all slab handles. They use the original Intrepid handle, which you'll see on all of them. So there's two sizes. There's two sizes of handle. So we made a basic assortment of blades: black, matte, and then different dips on the handles. So just created a bit of an assortment that people can choose from. And I mean, it's just a big piece of steel. It's indestructible.
What type of steel?
This is a 420 HC. So one of the things when you're talking about steels, you're always, I'm totally preaching to the choir in here, I know, but you're talking about balancing corrosion resistance and edge retention and ductility. So you're always balancing those things. What I will say, and a point I make to people when I'm talking to them, is a lot of edge retention, you lose a lot of the sharpness of your edge through corrosion rather than just use. So depending upon how you're going to use and care for the knife, 420 HC might hold a better edge for you than S30V. Because if you're not careful, when you think about a razor sharp edge, there's a lot of surface area to mass relationship when you get to that fine of an edge. It doesn't take much corrosion it's just not quite the same. So there are times I'll tell people that if you're a person that carries it a lot more than uses it, the 420 HC might be a better steel choice for you than one of the other harder steels that has more corrosion issues. So these are 420 HC. We tried to do this product and again, one of those design criteria is a minimal maintenance type product. That again, you're trying to think of the consumers you're reaching out to. So these are all in 420 HC. Some other little variations. We put the Packlight series in orange. Huge hit. We had it at the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation this year, and people walking by the glass just looked in and instantly knew why an orange knife would be good. You didn't have to explain it to them. You didn't have to talk about it. They gave one of those. Walk up. I want to see that. Can you show me that, please? Pull it out. Oh, okay. How much are these? Can I have one? It was just instant. So this is going to be a real natural, like an end cap opportunity coming up this holiday because it sells itself. And whenever you can lock in a real overt benefit like that, where somebody can just look at it and go, I know how that's going to help me, that's a huge winner. If you got to do a lot of explaining, sometimes it just makes the sales process real tedious, and retailers, they don't always employ the highest trained people behind the counter. So if you can make these things sell themselves, you've accomplished a good thing.
What's that going to be called?
It's just an orange backlight. We're real inventive on that one. I think we brainstormed that for about 20 seconds, but I didn't put up the picture of, we've also done the sheath, because the great thing about putting orange on the knives is you put them in a camo sheath, you've now accomplished your camo needs, but now if you lay those things on the ground, you never lose them. And then we brought back the 124 this year, which I was glad to see. Okay, so this is the addition. This is what we added, just a smaller, little different shape. We had done, you're heckling, pal. I got Bob George in the back door. So we had a couple other ideas, and we have one more that I'm just going to briefly touch on a little bit later. But so this is the third entry into kind of in the Ron Hood family of knives. And so it just, and the name, don't talk to me about the name. But so we're trying to stay, in kind through all those products. And Ron also had a boot knife that he had designed that will be the fourth member of that family. And it's important to remember that with Ron, carrying the boot knife was not about weapon at all, because he's out in the woods. It was all about just accessibility. So if he's kneeling down somewhere or working on the fire or doing something, he didn't want to have to, he wanted to be able to reach something quick. And so he designed a non-weapon specific, but a boot knife, and it's going to be pretty innovative in how it's carried. So that's the Thug this year. Clearwater fillets, we wanted to introduce a domestic fillet knife. So just give people a USA option. So we've got the Silver Creek fillet knives that are an import product. We now have the Clearwater fillets, so we do both in 428C in the red, and then the Sandvik. I don't know which one of the versions of Sandvik, I don't remember, but what's that? Yeah, I don't remember what the actual steel, because we use two steels. I think it's 12C26 or 12C27 is the steel. But anyway, so it's Sandvik steel, a little better edge retention, a little less corrosion resistance than the 428C. So we have the two grades. So going into 2014, and this is how our process works, where we kind of start with the cartoon drawings, then we graduate to where we're cutting out pieces in plastic. The lasers are also really helpful when it comes to cutting out prototypes and getting our designs in place. Not sure. It's not sure. Oh, not even have a model number yet. No, it's just starting. Oh, I don't know. I've been carrying this knife since last February when we made this prototype, and I really like it. It has a lot of really good features. One of the coolest features about this is the lock itself. So this is the one that was a collaboration with Grant and Gavin Hawk, who live down in southern Idaho. So another couple of Idaho boys. So we're working together. But the way this lock works, you can see it on the top picture there. The way the lock works, it's a continuous loop. So imagine what would be stronger if you were hanging onto something like this, like a lockback, or if you were hanging onto something like this. Which do you think would be a ton stronger? That strap lock going around the top, you have to shear off the knob on the blade in order to get that lock to fail. It is amazingly strong. The lock itself provides, there's a little bit of a resistance, so the lock itself provides a little bit of extra swing for the blade. So I wouldn't call it assisted, but it does get a little assistance. There's ball bearings on either side of the knife blade. And the really important thing on this lock is you have to sweep it, because if you push it down like is people's first reaction, you keep the knife from following through because you're pushing down on the lock. So you really have to sweep it. And once people figure out the feel for that, it works really easy. To unlock it, you just lift up on the lock itself with your thumb, and I just really like it. So I think this one's going to do well. That'll be SHOT Show 2014. So the first one is the Grant and Gavin Hawk folder. We're going to do a smaller version of the Spitfire, so just a more pocketable, like the smaller Vantage series, just about a 2/3 size Spitfire. I'm going to talk about a little bit more. A lot of 2014 is going to be focused on the 110. So we're going to start off with a 4-pack, where the knives themselves are going to be named after the factory location at the time. So we're going to have, we're still working on that. So these are my teases. This is going to be really cool, though. We're going to introduce throughout the year these 4 different knives, these 4 different 110s, and they're going to be kind of recreations of what they looked like at that time, coming out of that facility, and they'll be named after that facility. So it'll be fun. We're also doing a collectible paradigm that's going to be based on the 110.
Is the paradigm legal in all the 50 United States?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spring-assisted knives are legal in all 50 states. There are some, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but there are some where the law itself is written in a more ambiguous fashion. It doesn't define switchblades as clearly, so there's room for interpretation. To spring assist could be a switchblade.
So if you do a 110 paradigm, it'll be legal anywhere in this country?
Yes.
Because there was some speculation. Somebody leaked a little bit about that, and there were people who said, well, I can't have one of those in my state. But I thought, obviously the paradigm is legal everywhere, so why wouldn't that be legal everywhere?
No, it'll be a spring assisted, so it'll be legal. It'll be legal. We've talked, another teaser, but it's on the table, talking about making some automatics. So I think they're just really easy to make. We're doing a cross-lock upgrade. So that'll be the hunting product. What you see us try and do, like the Grant and Gavin, it's a little, I'm not going to call it militaristic, but it's got a little bit of a tactical flair, but it's mostly an everyday folder. The Spitfire is an everyday folder. This is the LEs. The whole focus, the whole branding focus on USA made, family heritage, long-term company, dependability, American craftsmanship is what the 110/50th is going to be all about. Crosslock is a hunting, so that's our hunting product. The splizzers and the Clearwater fillets will still be rolling into the fishing side, and then we've been working with sharpeners. So we've been doing an American-made line of sharpeners, and so what we did to start with is we just took a few things they were already building and just kind of put buck on them. Now the next iteration of that is let's build some design into sharpeners. So we want to do everything we want to do to start with is going to be human powered. We're not going to do any mechanized sharpening yet, and then we'll just slowly work our way into doing to where it's like the chef's choice, and where these things will be powered. But everything we're doing right now is how can we do a human powered sharpener that will help people maintain the angles. And that's what we're working on.
CJ, the 110 paradigm, so it's going to be a bolster open?
Yeah, it'll be a paradigm with like a 110 shaped blade and in brass, and we're working on, but It's, and this is where I was not able to get as much information as I wanted to, because all those people are gone. They're all in Salt Lake City. I want to talk a little more about the 110. Bob George is working with both Ram trucks and Chevy trucks, and he's got both of them vying to donate a truck for a sweepstakes. So we are going to get so much press and publicity next year on the 110 50th anniversary. That's been a huge focus. We've been collecting stories. We hope to write a book. We've been defining both an online campaign and a contest. We have a company in Canada called Argo. They do these 6 and 8-wheeled amphibious vehicles. These ATVs that are just extraordinary. They want to donate a fully loaded one of those and do a joint. They're awesome. I'll take one of those. They're great. They'd work well cleaning the snow off my driveway in the wintertime. So we've got the big sweepstakes. We've got the online sweepstakes and contests. We've got all the promotion. We've got the special projects all wrapped around the 110. Smoky Mountain Knife Works is doing a special project exclusive to them. I'm sure we're going to have some great tin programs. We tried to get a tin program into Walmart this year to kind of kick off the holiday tail of 2013 going into 2014, but they went all import, so it didn't work out. So this is going to be, the 110 50th is really going to be an exciting piece for 2014. And what else do I got? Oh. I'll take questions. Any questions on anything I've talked about?
CJ, I don't know how many people in this room have noticed the Viagra ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is $110, I swear to you it is. And I don't know whether y'all pay for that or what, but everybody says they're $110.
I'm not going to say anything about it because Bob is going to show that tonight in his presentation.
Okay.
And we had nothing to do with it, but
Well, I was wondering whether that's just free.
it's free. But when you think about what I love about that ad, the whole concept behind that whole series of ads is when you get to be our age, you know what to do. If something doesn't work, you know how to fix it. And so that's the whole concept of those ads is you're competent, and in this guy's toolbox is a 110. It's just the most perfect message for a 110. But anyway, so.
Yeah, he had to have it.
I spoke to Bob George yesterday about the club also being able to do a special 110, and obviously we can't do a great big number, and we don't want to run into what Buck is doing, but he assured me that we could come up with a little tweak on one of the 110s for next year that will be a club-sponsored 110. So that will be something, I'm excited about it, and I think everyone in this room will be excited about it too.
Yeah, no, that won't be a problem.
The 110 50th anniversary, I'm trying to remember, what is the 4-night package? How's that working out?
The 4-night package, there's going to be, because I think Congress Street was the factory where the 110s were first built. So there's going to be like a remake, which is really difficult. We're not going to make any money on that one, but we're going to remake it the way it looked at that time. And so it'll be the Congress variation, and then there's going to be a federal boulevard variation, and then there's going to be a weld, and then there's going to be a lock saw. So there's going to be these 4 variations. They're going to. We were still thinking about that we would sell. The first one, an opportunity to buy a display box that would carry all 4, and then and the goal is, what we wanted to do was work with retailers where we're helping them drive people back into their store throughout the year. So that was the concept of what we wanted to do with that. And I don't remember how many there are. There weren't a ton. It was like 1,000 of each. Like, it wasn't a ton. It wasn't a lot. So Larry's comment about doing something specific to the club it makes a ton of sense.
Will all the 110s have some 50th anniversary marking or anything, or just so they code?
They should. It's a good idea. It may already be in the works, but because like we've done with 02 and 04, 05.
You mentioned on the fishing scissors,
Mm-hmm.
that serrated portion is replaceable, is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
Explain that, would you?
Yeah, this is a prototype, but you can look at it. There's you can just screw the blades, so you can replace the blades. So what we were worried about was, obviously, anytime you put something capable of holding an edge in a water environment, it's going to argue with you. So we're going to just allow people that if those things do quit working, you can then get the replacement blades for them.
That passes through.
Yeah. It's got a GPS located in it.
What is all their guys being today, we're trying to, what, and now I hear you're back to like 20%. Is everybody doing that?
When you look at our competition, so there's a lot of pretty small American brands. So you talk about Gerber. So Gerber at one point was about a $7-8 million company. They were bought by Fiskars. Gerber has exceeded $100 million as a company. They're branching out into survival gear and other things. They've got Bear Grylls as their spokesperson. And no, they don't make any of those Bear Grill products. Those are all imported 100%. Gerber makes some things in their factory, but mostly they do government contracting in their factory where Made in USA is required. All this other stuff is imported. SOG was another small company. They've always imported. Spencer was more of a designer. Spencer Frazier, he was a designer. He was marketing and importing. He was bought. He sold majority ownership in his company. The new company came in with a little deeper pockets. Now they had the gunny for a while. I don't know if they're moving beyond having the gunny on their product, but it's all import. Lots of bells and whistles. It's all titanium coated, and lots of these bells and whistles that don't really add a lot to the function of the product, but they sound good. Carbon fiber inserts in the handle. Well, we all know that really doesn't add any integrity to the product itself, but it sounds good. So there's a lot of these bells and whistle type things. So that's what SOG's doing. And then Camillus is the newest one where they did, they went bankrupt. Acme United bought the intellectual property rights, the branding for Camillus. They're going overseas, importing. They're 100% import. They've hired Les Stroud, who is a Canadian adventure TV guy, and they're making a big run, and they're impactful. When we look at our space at Walmart, we are losing market share to this flashy import product. So that's our challenge to do. So as far as our competition goes, you really can't get American made in quantity anywhere else than us. And a lot of the like NRAs doing the member spiffs or buck knives, elk foundations all buck knives, mule deer's all buck knives.
NRA is not.
Well, they bounce back and forth, but they're like life member upgrades. They're more expensive stuff. Is all.
I used one of them, man, you know, they sent me a Chinese knife.
You just got the Boy Scout out
They're
here.
backing me.
The Boy Scouts?
Yeah, and the Boy Scouts are a new one where we'd been doing the Eagle Scout knives for a long time without permission. So it started out as a labor of love for my father, donating these Eagle Scout knives to the Eagle Scouts in San Diego County. And as they started talking, it became nationwide. People would, hey, I want one of those, I want one of those, I want one of those. So we started doing them nationwide, and it just got to be a little too big and too noticeable. So we went back to Boy Scouts and said, we're sorry, and can we have an agreement, paid a little back royalty, and I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good growth opportunity for us.
With the Scout logo on it.
Yeah, though we had a license for those at that time, and then that license expired. So now we have a license. Right now, it's just for the Eagle Scout emblems, and we're doing the Eagle Scout knives. But the opportunity is to branch way beyond that, and you know, doing stuff for the Boy Scouts is just right down our alley.
The Elk Foundation knife that you did a few years ago, I think, that was made in China, there's probably a dozen of them on eBay right now that should be from China. And I talked to a friend, he said you get it in a plastic bag. Some of them actually show it in a box.
The same knife?
Same knife.
No,
You
counterfeits.
get a laser feed through it, so I mean, it looks impressive, and you can
Those
buy it
are-
for $10.
Those are counterfeit, because we're not doing it anymore.
Any way you can stop that kind of stuff? I mean, it just.
It's really difficult. Have you ever played that Bop-A-Mole game at the fair? That's, you know, you can stop this garage, and 2 doors down, they start up again. So it's really difficult. There's and I'm not remembering the name of it, but Ron Wyden in Oregon, senator from Oregon, is working on a legislation that makes it hard. It makes it illegal to sell counterfeit product on the internet. That is going to have a huge impact just by cutting the market off. That will have more impact than trying to go, you know, chase down all these little mom and pops.
But eBay does, you know, clamp down on a lot of things. I mean, you put a fake Rolex up there, it'll be gone in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are on certain things. Harley Davidson is really leaned down. There's some big companies that have kind of managed to get eBay to go after, but I don't know how they're doing it.
It just takes focus. You gotta watch it, and then you gotta just ping at it.
Well, they have a situation there where you could eliminate a lot of them. They say listings only North America. Now they ship them over here to somebody in the United States and let them do the same thing.
Well, I was looking at that Elk Foundation one, boy, every one of those are shipped from China. So it's like no one dares buy 10 of them from China even, and then sell them out of North Dakota or something.
One of the things we are doing with the companies we deal with in China, you know, they are long-term relationships. So we've been dealing with the same companies for 15 years. So, you know, those are people we can trust. But the issue you get is when you branch out from that, like you make a product, once you've taught somebody how to make that product, when you're done with it, they just keep making it. So, and that's what's going on there. So it's,
Common sense says you can't buy that right for $9.99.
well, they're getting smart. A lot of them are getting smart. They're even though they could sell the knife for $9.99, they're charging $39.99 for it. And now that's starting to trick people that the too good to be true. So they're just raising the price, and it's making it harder to tell.
Is your Vantage Pro line doable? Is that pretty?
It is. That's a very successful line. S30V as a steel is just becoming so understood. There's two really neat things I see going on in steels. One of them is, I think our marketplace is beginning to realize that 420HC from Buck is awesome, and that's been a training process. People, I used to hear a lot of grousing and grumbling about 420HC. I don't hear that anymore. In fact, I hear customers, if somebody brings it up like at a show, at a consumer show, I'll have somebody else before I can respond to it, kind of go, nope, this is, when Buck heat treats it, it's awesome. Okay, good, I didn't have to say a word. So I think from a 420HC standpoint, from Buck, our heat treating, and it's been a focus, it's been a promotional focus of ours, our heat treating is being recognized. S30V has been in the marketplace so long, it's also become a recognized, steel, so people know what it is. And again, when you're talking, we talked earlier about, retailers and trying to sell behind the counter. It's nice when somebody can walk in and they go, what steel is that? S30V. Oh, they know what it is.
Is that a collaboration, or did you guys in-house?
The Vantage, no, that was all in-house. That was in-house.
Is the D2 steel something that just is being tried, or is it going to be on continuous?
We, doing a high carbon steel, whether it's D2 or 1095 or something else, I think doing a high carbon steel is something we need to look at, because that's another one that people ask for, and it's a known. It's something, those things are more problematic for us because of our warranty, where you're so depending upon somebody to take care of their knife with that type of steel. But in doing special runs, we just get asked for it too much to not do something about it.
What's the future of the custom shop? I keep hearing a lot of people, they're saying, well, why can't you get a custom 112? And they're looking for a little more variety, I think, from the custom shop.
This kind of runs back, the custom shop is just kind of plateaued right now. And what this kind of runs back to is, when we made the decision to try and not increase our import products, that puts a huge burden on this factory to pick up the slack. So not only do they have to pick up the slack for reducing imports, they also have to pick up the slack from any growth we hope to get. So we're growing our factory about as quickly as we can. We're hiring people, we're training, we're doing about as much as we can. It's not leaving that excess capacity to devote to expanding the custom shop. So I think as things stabilize, it's not like a conscious thing if we don't want to do it, it's just not the priority right now. There's absorbing the reductions in imports and getting some growth, some organic growth ourselves. Because it's a lot, that's another thing I'll throw in when I threw up that import business model. It's really easy to grow when you're importing. Hey, factory A, factory B, we just had factory C. We just grew 20%. Production is not a problem. Growth in a domestic facility is much more problematic, much more careful, and you also can't shrink 20%. Oh, we're just not ordering anything from that factory anymore. No, we got people to lay off or something terrible. So growth is a much more careful process in a domestic facility, and that's just what we're doing right now. So the custom shop is just not, adding to that is not a priority right now.
The build-outs seem to be, part of the build-outs seem to be a little custom.
Yeah, no, the build-outs that's Joe just getting in there and elbowing and muscling.
I was taking the tour yesterday, and I watched that, and I was impressed with the heat treating process. Now, is that the process that Volvo initiated here?
Yeah, the thing with heat treat, heat treat is a fairly simple process. It's It's time and temperature. That's really all it is. So what Paul Boss did was he just dialed in the exact times, the exact temperatures, how to fix things when they don't quite work. Those are the processes that he dialed in. There's no magic there. It's just attention to detail. And so what we do in our heat treat, it's all about attention to detail. It's about consistency. So we've set up the processes down there so that we can duplicate it. Time after time after time. I mean, one of the things we do, we don't hollow grind before heat treat. And when you think about that, we were getting, when you get inconsistencies in heat treat, you get fracture points. So if you heat treat before hollow grinding, you've now got a very common bake through the whole knife blade. Now what that means is afterwards it's a much slower process to hollow grind, because it's a lot faster process to do it when it's soft, and it's a lot less costly on wheels to do it when it's soft, but it's a better knife if we heat treat it before we hollow grind it. Now and with S30V we can't do that because it's too hard. We can't grind it after we hollow grind it. But for the 420HC, that's just something we can do. Did I answer your question about Paul? What he did was he just, through endless time and repetition and study and care, he just dialed in those processes. And that's what we do. The other thing I will say, when we first got the 420HC material, we were getting it from Allegheny Ludlam at the time, and they said you will get a range. So you will get anywhere from 56 to 58 Rockwell is what you will get in this steel. If you follow our processes, you'll get this range. Well, 56 is not acceptable for a buck knife. So we get 57.5 to 58. That's our range. And we consistently get it every day, all day, every day. And so that attention to detail in the process, they were so surprised they came out to audit our process because they were amazed that we were able to get that consistent of a measurement. But that's just par for the course down there. That is what they do. How much time do I have?
Just a few minutes.
Rest of the day.
What steel will be in the Ron Hood?
Oh, we do the 5160. It's the spring, same. Oh, it'll be the same. It'll be the same. The boot knife probably won't have that shock mitigation. We're not going to worry about that for a boot knife. Yeah, but it'll be the same steel, because the steel, it'll still be a pry bar, and that's what that steel is all about, is being super ductile, super tough.
You're going to have more Damascus steel?
We will continue to do LEs in Damascus. Yes, we're not going to do any production like user Damascus, but unless something changes. But we are going to continue to do the LEs in Damascus.
Any chance of doing a 113?
No reason not to.
I like 113s and I like Damascus.
Have we ever done one?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Have we ever done a 113 in Damascus? Probably about time.
They did one with G10 though. Just for G10, which is a long, just very unique for 113.
Okay.
For the employees.
I like the 113.
And why not a drop point at the 110? I think you had a drop point at one time, but it didn't sell maybe.
Well, we had we did an experiment where when we first did it wasn't the selector yet, but when we first did the Bucklights, we did the drop point. So we did the 112 blade normal, and we did a 110 size as a drop point, and the 112 outsold the 110, which is the complete opposite of normal. So we counted that as 110s need clip points. So then we did the 500 in the drop point. We've done other drop points. It's not difficult to do a drop point, but
I like the drop point.
Back in the 70s, what steel was y'all using then?
70s was 440C. Yeah, I think it was 1981 that we shifted over to 425 modified. And the thought being that like 420HC, 425 modified both had about half the carbon that 440C had. And the carbon was in a different shape, so that when it just turned out it was much easier to sharpen. And it was less brittle, like it was less, you didn't have the hard and soft spots. We used to get a ton of those half moons where people would you know, they'd cut into something and tweak, and they'd get this half moon chip out of the blade, and that we don't see near as many of those as we used to with the different steel.
Just before you left San Diego, you did a special run where of the 110s that had a 110 blade and a 112 blade. Is that really hard to make, or could you do a special 110 with two blades in it? You know, a polished or a Damascus?
Oh, yeah.
Or,
No, you can do that. What do you have in mind?
Yeah, I mean,
And how many?
yeah, when people would play, I think, nice premium, and it would be 50th anniversary kind of.
No, those are doable. The vastly most difficult project we have, I think, of all of our projects, is going to be that Congress version 110. That's going to be the most difficult for us. It's going to be it's going to be like all machined. Like that's all we can do. There's no tooling. It's going to be a tooling-free run. It'd be a bit of a labor love.
You haven't mentioned sheets, TJ. Many sheets being made in America, or are they still?
Some of the tactical stuff. It's a real tough question with the sheets. And I'll tell you another. This is a discussion my father and I have. Is you know, it's not this moral thing to just do made in USA. I mean, our real goal is we want to provide proper value to people. And so if you have a sheath made in the US that costs as much or more than your knife, that's problematic. So for some of the tactical ones, because they're so complicated, we have almost as much in the sheath as we do in the knife. But yet it resonates. It carries itself. The leather sheaths we're having made in Mexico, all the nylon sheaths are made in China, and they're good quality, and we're not really planning on changing that. So we're not trying to be overzealous. We're really trying to do a good value. And as we run into things, if we do have a U.S. source that's within 20-30% cost of China, we can look at it, because that is our first choice. It's nice to be able to say it's all made in USA, but we're really focused on the value. That's what's driving us. So right now, the only sheaths we're having made in the U.S. are there's some new leather. There's been some work going on. There's some new leather sheaths that are being made in the U.S. There are some things that we're experimenting with, but the true volume stuff, not.
Yes, speaking back to history, we've had the 111 Classic, which was aluminum. We've had the 560, the 186, which was titanium. Do you foresee in the 110 and maybe some of the other lockbacks the possibility of different handle materials in the future, such as a 110 that's stainless steel, another 110 that's aluminum, like the Classic was aluminum, different variations.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll happen. We're not done with the 110. We're not done with it. Are we good?